Listen. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I can go for broke, but the capital is in me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. Anywhere I go, DC's coming with me. I spent my whole damn life in the city. I can go for broke, but the capital is in me.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. I'm Amit. That is KDot. KDot, how are you doing, sir, is the first question. And for those of you who are wondering, we've both got different backgrounds right now. This is the first fully remote episode of District Divided where our travel budget went up a little bit. And we decided to just sort of splurge and treat ourselves a little bit. And we're still figuring out location-wise how to make it better and more effective for the pod. But for now, we're having a great time in different places. So, KDot, how are you, sir?
I am doing phenomenally. I got down here. I'm down in South Carolina. If anybody devout Dish Divided followers, the steering wheel that I had last time I was down here is just sitting right here to my left. I didn't want it in frame this time around, but I'm still in the racing chair. I see a crutch over there and some wrestling mats over there. I'm in my best friend's son's bedroom doing this pod. So feeling good.
I mean, elite dedication from you, KDot.
Yeah.
I am in New Orleans, and shout out Oliver Samuel Jacobus and Anna Bryant, who are getting married. So appreciate not only the invitation, but New Orleans is an unbelievable city. It's my first time over here. Very cool. Maybe we can get into our various travels after the pod. But the focus of this episode, guys, is the Commanders-Eagles game that is coming up. We're gonna have to break that down, and we're gonna give you our honest thoughts on it, and very much looking forward to it. We'll begin with the Eagles offense, that high-powered offense against our Commanders defense, and we'll flip the script and we'll talk about the Commanders offense against the Eagles defense. We'll get into predictions. We will talk a little bit about the DC Attorney General's office, suing Dan Snyder, the NFL, the Commanders, and Roger Goodell. We'll also talk about the statement a little bit where the Commanders mentioned Brian Robinson Jr., not by name, but making him sort of relive that incident in a pretty classless response to a press conference that was going to happen, hadn't even happened yet. We'll, of course, have the comment mailbag in the after the pod. So we're looking forward to all of it. We did want to begin, though. Rest in peace, Coy Gibbs, Joe Gibbs' son. Who passed away at the age of just 49. In fact, his brother JD had also passed away at the age of 49 some time ago. Kid, I know you're big into NASCAR, so you could probably speak more to Coy and his contributions not only to NASCAR, but like your experience, and you probably have more of that connection there. So if you wanted to say anything, floor is yours.
Yeah, I would say that I was definitely there. I'm not into NASCAR as much as I used to be, but big time. Rest in peace to Coy. I remember even JD passing away just a few years ago. It was 2018, 2019, when he passed away. Like I got into NASCAR partially because of my Washington fandom and loving Joe Gibbs and knowing that he had a team. It was something that I initially knew I needed to root for. My dad worked at Home Depot for 20 plus years, so Tony Stewart driving that number 20 Pontiac was everything to me. And as much as Joe was always a part of it, you always knew that the co-owners were his sons, and they were always heavily involved in tons of great times, whether it be from the Bushes that were there under Joe Gibbs Racing, the Joey Logano to Tony Stewart, all those guys, just a damn great time. But it's just a tragedy because at the night that Coy passed away, his son Ty, who's a driver in the Xfinity Series, which is like, if you're F1 fan, they have F2, like the series just right below it. Mm-hmm. That's what the Xfinity Series is, and Ty's a hell of a driver there. So it was just it's so tragic. These guys had so much more life to give, and I mean, it's just Joe Gibbs himself is something that the dude is a class act, just amazing human being, and he's experienced so much loss and other things, and still being as stoic and as amazing as he is. Just my thoughts, prayers, everything go out to him and the Gibbs family. And I know this has to be tough. I feel for him so deeply.
Yeah, and we often think about Joe Gibbs just being this legend for our franchise and stuff like that. You forget that sometimes in sports these people are human beings as well, and to have to lose not one but two sons, it's unspeakable. And so, yeah, just to echo your sentiments, KDot, thoughts and prayers to the family, and hope they're doing as well as they can be at this time, and that the healing process continues. But obviously, life will never be the same if we're just being blunt about it. So, anyway, but thoughts and prayers there. We wanted to mention that beforehand. And now, as smoothly as we could possibly transition to a football game that's happening on Monday, the Commanders are playing the Eagles. They are going to be at Lincoln Financial Field to play the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles, coming off a mini bye where they played the Houston Texans. And then instead of playing on Sunday, they play on Monday. So they've had a lot of time to prepare for the Taylor Heinicke-led Washington Commanders here. But we're going to begin with Jalen Hurts, that side of the ball, and what the Philadelphia Eagles have been doing to teams recently. I mean, you talk about their ability to run the ball, and then with Miles Sanders, with Jalen himself, with Kenny Gainwell at times, and then you turn it right back around. Dallas Goedert just had 100 yards and a touchdown, and he's had a relatively quiet year. And then you have A.J. Brown, who just 2 weeks before, 156 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then against us, Devontae Smith was the guy that went off. So there are a lot of weapons on this offense. On our side, we may get Chase Young back. That's going to be pretty exciting. We have David Mayo, who may come back as well. I mean, these names aren't nearly as sexy as the ones we had mentioned on the Philadelphia side, but we could use all the help we could get, right, KDot?
Yeah, all hands on deck, guy. I'm not looking forward to this game. I'm terrified of this game. Yeah, man, Philadelphia, they're undefeated for a reason. But I mean, I think that's the thing, as you say, that there's one could say they've been on a 3-week bye, knowing that the bye week led to Pittsburgh and then to Houston.
We might be their hardest game in 3 weeks.
And next week they got Indianapolis. So, I mean, I think this is the only real test. And I'd be hard pressed to say that we're really a test if we're really looking at what this team is, and kind of where we're stacking up. It's just sort of mediocre. I mean, that's the thing, is like where you run that high off those 3 games that we rattle off: Chicago, Green Bay, and Indy. And I don't think anyone would think that Philadelphia would be at risk of losing to any of those teams at all, right? So where is it that we stack up against them? I don't know. I feel like we'll get into the full breakdown, but this feels like if it's going to go our way, we'll get into the X's and O's, but it's got to be, is this the trap game for them? Are they a little too lax doing things? Because, yeah, I wouldn't blame them to overlook us.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, KDot, the game with the Texans for a while was close. I think you can see that, hey, I know the Philadelphia Eagles are overrated, just to provide the other side of it, but they're still young. They still haven't truly done anything yet in the NFL, so they are susceptible to moments like that. Now, they were significantly more talented than the Houston Texans. They realized that, and they managed to pull away. But don't be surprised if they do choose to overlook us as well. So we'll end up seeing what happens. But KDot, let's begin with that breakdown. So they're top 10. They're second in points per game at around 28. They top 10 in passing yards, top 10 in rushing yards. We've mentioned the names again. What would you say is the best way to, it would seem like a bend, don't break game. What would you say is the best way to slow down this Eagles offense?
It's a hard thing to think about, right? Because it's like, you'd think, all right, maybe you do a good job against the run, as we've done most of the year, right?
A very good job. Yeah.
We did well in that first game with them, even though they just decided not to at a certain point. Because I think the lowest rushing total they have all year is against us in that week 3 game. And I think it's by far, honestly, actually. But yeah, that's the thing, is like you stop Miles Sanders, who's averaging 5 yards a pop right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like even 5+ in that Houston game. Then you have Jalen Hurts that can hurt you. And to me, it is one of those things. It's just, it's bend, don't break. It's just to do what we've talked about, and we stressed it. You'd want the guys on the defensive line to finally get home, right? Mm-hmm. But Jalen Hurts has gotten sacked this year, and it hasn't stopped him, right? So it's like, even if he does that, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have necessarily success. the thing is that what you can look at after the week when they had the Pittsburgh and the Houston game, you can see that while they're scoring points, they're always scoring like in those 20s or whatever point total when you're looking through it. A lot of those games are one-score games, or at least close to one-score games. There's games that like they score near the end and then it inflates a bit. So I think that you just got to kind of keep them honest. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of the quick strikes. I think what you're trying to do is if they're going to have to do anything, let them do it. Let this be one of these battles and not something that they're just throwing these 50-yard bombs at Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown and scoring on as fast. I think that could be something that hurts. I think you have to play fundamentally on defense, right? You have to do what you need to do. Miles Sanders has to get stopped. You got to stop that rushing attack. But beyond that, that secondary has to do a damn good job of just disrupting what it is they can for Jalen Hurts. It's not really a whole lot I can look at X's and O's wise because they just have so talented on offense. You can just pray that they can't get in the end zone at a certain point. Pray that you can hold them to field goals. It's the defense has to play the best game they've played all year.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're playing against an undefeated team on the road, they have that mini bye. You can make the case, like you were saying, that they haven't really played a true football game in quite some time. You are going to have to play a near perfect game. This will, once again, you look at your stars, you look at who you're paying. You're paying John Allen, right? You need him to continue. Time. Yeah, you need to continue to rely on him. Deron Payne's having a fantastic year. Montez Sweat, you're so athletic. This may well be your moment, right? To be able to help contain Jalen Hurts. And then you mentioned the back end. At that, Kendall Fuller had a nicer game relative to games he's had last week. And then St. Juste has really grown into his own. So I think it's nice to know that we have a more confident secondary going into this game. You talk about third down conversion rate. It's significantly lessened since we last played the Eagles. It was very early on at that time. So it is a different defense that is playing against same guys, but different defense. Yeah. Jamin Davis is incredibly confident right now. So reasons for optimism as well. The way I look at this game is, are we improving? Are we getting better at the little things, right? Because this is a 10.5 point spread. Feel free to expect to win, but it's a tall order. I want to see improvement just across the board. We're seeing it with Jamin. We're seeing St. Juste develop. Cam Curl has continuously been excellent this season. I want to continue seeing those things. And hopefully we can force a turnover. The Eagles are plus, I believe it's 15. Let me double check. Yep, plus 15 in the turnover category. That is good for number one in the NFL. We are 25th with -4. So you're going to need to force some turnovers somehow. And that always involves getting to the QB and forcing him to make a bad decision. Some people are not convinced by Jalen Hurts. We need to show them that he is not a convincing quarterback. It's as simple as that. Starts with the D-line, and then you got to play a lights out game. It's just true. You need to play a lights out game, and no one's been able to do that against them just yet.
Yeah, you're 100%. Like the defense has to play fundamentally sound as we have. But I think that what you said near the beginning of that is going to be the big benchmark. We have not had a lot of big time plays on defense this season. We've had a few moments, but we haven't had this needs to be pick six territory. This needs to be fumble, scoop, return territory, right? It's big stage. You guys got to come to play. And that's what we need to see, a fired up defense making shit happen. Because I think that's the only way that you can really get in the heads of that Philadelphia Eagles offense, is to maybe have some things turn your way to get them flustered. Because they've just been able to kind of march through anything and be methodical in the way that they're doing it. We've got to punch them in the mouth and see what happens to your game plan when you get punched in the mouth, like that Mike Tyson thing, right? Everybody has a game plan until you get punched in the mouth.
Well, I gotta say, sorry, just you talk about getting punched in the mouth in Philadelphia, and last Saturday was maybe one of the greatest days ever, where the Philadelphia Union lose in heartbreaking fashion to LAFC. I mean, that was such a heartbreaker. And then just hours later, the Houston Astros beat Philadelphia, the Phillies, in the World Series. I mean, you talk about Snyder announces he's selling the team, or at least is paired up with Bank of America Securities on Wednesday. That's already terrific news. Chase Young being activated from IR or designated for return. Brian Robinson Jr., they have a suspect. And then literally 3 days later, from a DC sports perspective, to see Philadelphia suffer the way they did was just absolutely wonderful. I just wanted to mention that as well.
Good to mention. Look, I will say that I had some friends who were up in Philadelphia before everything came crashing down. They were talking about the spirit and the vibe that was in the town. And they were like, it really felt like the city of brotherly love. And I was like, maybe I'll go up there for a little bit. Because I had my first positive experience in Philadelphia last year. And I contemplated for a little bit moving up there. I'm going to be completely honest. But
really, all right,
yeah, I do. I'm starting to kind of fall in love with that city. But yeah, maybe this is just one of those things. Is that that's the thing that you just reminded me. Is it as we're going to get into the offense against the defense, we're going to be a little more depressed than what we just talked about. Remember, Dan Snyder's leaving, guys.
I know.
So it's like that's the thing. We could lose out the rest of this year. You got to remember, in the grand scheme, in the long term of things, we've won. Keep that in the back of your head. We won.
It is so important to remember.
Or we're winning.
Yeah. Oh, right now, it is a great time to be a fan. It is a great time to be a fan because it seems like long term, there's hope for the first time in quite some time. Let's flip the script. Let's go ahead and talk about the Commanders offense led by one Taylor Heinicke against this Eagles defense, which its secondary is star-studded, and it is playing really, really well. Now, there is something I want to note, which is that Jordan Davis, their first-round pick, is on IR. He will not be playing this game. And they played Dameon Pierce in the Houston Texans last Thursday. And Dameon Pierce, I mean, first off, incredibly talented football player, very, very hard to bring down, but he was making it look easy. So in terms of an opportunity, a window of opportunity for this offense, it plays right into what we want to be able to do, which is run the ball. And so Brian Robinson Jr., this is as big a moment for him to be able to shine. Antonio Gibson, as big a moment for him to be able to shine. Heinicke using his legs, he will have to. Carson Wentz got sacked, 9 times or something like that the first time we played? Yeah, the first time we played Philadelphia. So get sacked less than that. If you're Taylor, let's start there. And I think just make some plays. This is a peak let Taylor be Taylor game because he's playing with house money. That's exactly what happened when he came in against Tampa Bay. This is a house money game, and he seems to do pretty well in those situations, KDot. Go ahead and shit on all of that
now. Look, man, Taylor has to be the best version of Taylor in this game. So that's the main thing. The big thing going into this is, like you said, they are plus 15 in the turnover battle. Mm-hmm. And that's the glaring thing in this team, to me, is why you're seeing them have necessarily as much success as they've had. And that defense, Darius Slay will make you pay if you fuck around with them. And look, we know where Taylor's going to want to go with this football. He's going to want to go to Big Terry. And look, Terry had a 100-plus game against Philadelphia earlier this year. But you look at last season when you had Taylor behind center, and both of those Philadelphia losses, I think his high was 60 yards in any of those games. And I'll tell you right now, if you're forcing the ball to him with a Slay back there, he's going to make you pay. And the other part of it is that, like, as much as we can look at that Curtis Samuel play against Minnesota and be like, oh, wow, that worked out, I doubt we'll have a referee taking out their safety again.
Well, Heinicke's reviewing the film right now. We just discussed that, so we'll see. We'll see what he can do.
I'm just saying, Taylor's got to take care of this football, and I think the way that you do this is they can be ran on. You said it, the Dameon Pierce thing. They have not looked good run defense wise pretty much all season. Like I said, the like you look at what it is they've given up rushing wise. The last few games, 168, 144, 134, 124. You can run on them. And that's going to be something that we have to do. This is going to be one of those games in which we have to slow it all the way down, take care of the football, and run methodically. This needs to be one of those games in which we try to control the time of possession. Because we know on offense, if they get enough cracks at it, they're going to score. So what we have to do is we got to use our offense as the best defense as well, which is when are we excelling at our best? is when you got that two-headed monster, Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, putting in the work, controlling the time possession, making sure that we're in third and short situations, making sure that we can run the ball. When they know that we're lined up to do it fucking anyway. And to have Scott Turner, we give Scott Turner a lot of credit for being able to scheme guys open, right? But he has to have game feel. Let's be methodical in what it is we're doing, and then get Taylor Heinicke in a position where he can make the easy throw to get the first down and continues to move down the field without turning it over. Because they will make you fucking pay. As much as we talk about what they've been able to do or give up rushing wise, look at what they're doing turnover wise in reverse order. 2, 2, 3, 1, 5, 3, 1. There's not been a team that has faced Philadelphia that's not turned the ball over.
Yeah.
We can't give it to them. I say that this is one of those games where if you look at the turnovers, turnovers and time possession will tell you exactly how this game plays out.
Yeah. And you know what? You really hit the nail on the head there, because whenever you see a situation where there is a double-digit underdog, I guarantee, look at any box score. The team that, is able to overcome those odds and win outright, they controlled time of possession and they won the turnover battle. They won both. I mean, you're going to find very few instances where they did not win both. It's certainly turnovers. And so I think that's one of the keys is, this is going to sound crazy, but short first downs, if that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like increasing the number of first downs you can get to increase the amount of time you could take off per possession. And ideally, these are long scoring drives. I mean, we think about
no hero ball today. No hero ball.
You think about that 10-minute drive against Tampa Bay last season that everyone highlighted. You will need a drive like that, perhaps a second one. It's going to be one of those games where we talk about playing perfect, but I do want to highlight that this is a pretty ideal matchup for what we want to be able to do, as crazy as that sounds, because this is a situation where we go, okay, let's get back to our bread and butter. Historically, we run. This is who we are. This is our identity. And I think it sets up well in that respect. Now, can we do it? Because oftentimes you don't play this game on paper, KDot, as you know. You see stats, you go, oh, we can run on them. And the next thing you know, we have 20 yards rushing in the game. And it's just like, how did that? So you have to be able to execute on that. And I do think the player of the game, should this be a Commanders victory, has to be on the offensive side of the ball. Taylor for protecting, of course, but it will be Brian and it will be Antonio for just how well they run, and that offensive line for how well they are able to block. That is the path to victory. It's not going to be airing it out against these guys. It just isn't. I can't see a situation where Heinicke is just like 5 touchdowns and like 300 yards. Like, it has to be on the ground, KDot.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. And like you said, as far as this being the matchup that kind of plays into exactly what it is that the things that we can highlight when we're succeeding, we're doing well at, if we do those things again, you have a shot, right? So, and you see certain things are trending in the right direction. And some of that has to do with maybe some of the favorable matchups we've gotten, but you look at like Philadelphia all season on offense has turned the ball over 3 times. Mm-hmm. 3 times, period. 1 time in 3 games. That's it. For us, we've turned the ball over in every game but 1 on offense, that Chicago game. But then you look defensively for us, you have majority of the beginning of the season, we're not really doing anything in the turnover column, but in the last 4 games, we've had turnovers, right? Mm-hmm. So you'd hope that continues to trend in the right direction for us, right? But yeah, the idea that when we're looking at, you have to control the time possession. You can't afford to turn the ball over. I can't stress that enough. And that's going to be, it has to be 0. And that's one of those things where that is where I have the Taylor Heinicke. Boy, oh boy, you need to take care of the football. We love him in those big moments. We love him making that play that nobody else would, because he just wills it into being. But sometimes when he's doing that, it's not necessarily the right call. It's not necessarily the thing that makes the most sense. And he's got to play more fundamental this game if we're going to have success. Because I'm sorry, as much as you're going to do, that is a complete team you're facing. And you can't take them on by yourself. It's just not going to work out for you.
Yeah. And just once again, to mention some of those names of the secondary. I mean, James Bradbury, Darius Slay, CJ Gardner-Johnson, who I think leads.
All graded
so Marcus
high.
Epps. Like,
Yeah.
they've got some guys on that, man.
They've absolutely.
Props to Howie Roseman for swinging for the fences on these guys. It's been working.
They're a well-built team.
Yeah.
They're a very well-built team. And look, everybody wants to be on the fence about Jalen Hurts. Look, the only thing I'm on the fence with Jalen Hurts is whether or not he can do it in the playoffs. That is my only thing. Yeah. But regular season so far, I don't understand what anybody could be doubting with what it is you're seeing him do. And I think another thing that we got to make sure we do, just one last thing, is when it comes to the Jalen Hurts thing, we did a good job in that first game containing him on the ground. And we've got to keep that up too. Because if he starts burning you with the legs, on top of being able to throw that ball on you, on top of Miles Sanders getting 5 yards of carry, it'll be a long fucking night if you can't contain it.
Well, I also think part of the contribution to containing him on the ground was that he was dogging us in the air. And so I think what we need to do is protect that to force him to try and make a play like that and force a fumble.
That first game, that was they had the explosion point. It was like the second quarter, and then it was like nothing.
It was the one where we were thinking about challenging and didn't. Where I think the play would have stood to Devontae Smith, but it was close. Okay. You remember there was like a little bobble, or maybe he didn't get that second foot in. I can't remember what the exact situation was, but it was a sort of questionable reception. We didn't challenge quick enough. They quickly ran, and
I was looking to see how they did. I was just looking at that first game, and it was those 24 points they scored on us all came in the second quarter.
Yeah, but the first quarter, the defense actually did more than enough, and we were thinking, hey, now Carson can play. Hey, now Carson can play. And it just never. But that's the thing. It's like
you go down 24, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the second half, I mean, they still didn't run the football really.
God, what an ugly game.
But then the thing is that it made us one-dimensional offensively because we knew we couldn't do it on the ground anymore.
Yeah.
And at that point early in the season, we didn't really have a ground game, right? So like, look, I think Philadelphia is better than that team that we played week 3. Yes, I think they have gotten better. But do I think we've gotten better? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So the combination of those things, I do think we have a shot at this. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. And just wanted to note that I think people can just say, oh, both teams got better. Obvious statement. That is not true for all NFL teams. No. Not all NFL teams have gotten better. We can say we have gotten better. And we could also say Philadelphia has gotten better. I think this is a case where both have.
We thought that Lions team was going to be feisty.
Look at them. Yeah.
Right?
Have the Packers gotten better?
Nope.
So, I mean, it's okay to say both teams have gotten better here. Just wanted to mention that.
Appreciate you having my back on that.
Hey. You know, sometimes we're district divided, sometimes we're united in our points here. Let's talk about Carl Racine. Let's talk about the Attorney General, Office of the Attorney General here in DC. Just wanted to quickly mention, right? Because KDot, what happened here, I think, contributes to the field a little bit, which is why I wanted to mention it.
Love it.
And so, Office of the Attorney General came out earlier this week saying we have a press conference happening Thursday. And it's about the Commanders, and it's a major announcement. That was the quote, major announcement. And the Commanders did not seem to take too kindly to that news, and they had a statement that they released, and it began with mentioning that there is a certain 23-year-old on the team, and you can guess who that is, that was shot multiple times in broad daylight in DC. That is an official statement where they had basically said that. And then proceeded to say, we have been cooperative with the Attorney General's office. We can't believe they're doing this to us. It was almost like a, hey, you screwed this up and now you're coming after us. They were trying to almost discredit the office with the shooting. And it was, I mean, the national media as well as the local media was like, what the fuck? And it also leaked down and trickled down to the players who were finally speaking out, and props to them. Because that's scary when you were talking against an organization that's providing you a paycheck to go, you know what? This is absurd. Benjamin St. Just has mentioned it. I think Charles Leno mentioned it. Brian Robinson handled it with absolute class. Heinicke, Jason Wright. They've all been like, it's always something new pops up every week. You hear this, and it's got to be frustrating for the players. I feel for them so much in these situations because, at least for fans, you can turn it off if you're just like, oh, fuck this. If you're a player, you're in that building every day, right? You're practicing. The media's there. It's hard to get away from it. It's so freaking frustrating. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yep.
That statement comes out. Then Carl Racine, who is the Attorney General right now for another couple months, announces that he is suing the NFL, the Commanders, Dan Snyder, Roger Goodell, citing the Consumer Protection Act, basically saying the NFL and the Commanders colluded to basically lie to the public, specifically DC residents. That's how he framed it. And that is the reason that they are being sued. And it's a civil lawsuit because DC residents are owed accountability. Other people involved in these cases and these sort of fake investigations or light investigations are owed answers and accountability as well. And so that's where he was coming from. And we'll see where that goes, Kate. But what was your reaction to the press conference, to the news, to the freaking statement before that?
I honestly thought the press conference itself was a nothing burger. I'm being completely honest.
I would, no, I'm right there with you. I would agree.
It's like, I mean, the most I was seeing was that maybe some of the stuff when it came to the season ticket holders and as far as some of the finances there, when it came to getting refund, but we knew the financial impropriety stuff that they were getting into with that. But beyond that, it did feel like a nothing burger. What it did feel, but the glaring thing was the response the team had turned it into something it didn't need to be. And that's the thing, is like they can't get out of their own way. Like I've said this time and time again, the countdown continues. We've gone past the point. It's not, we're done. Snyder is gone. I'm telling you, I promise you, he's gone. It's over, right? It's just how shitty is he going to look in the process going out of it? And does he have it within himself to shut the fuck up? Take your $9 billion and coast off into the sunset, or you're gonna go kicking and screaming, man. Like this is where it comes down to, is like, at every opportunity they will do the classless thing. They will do the thing. The bringing up Brian Robinson to me was almost shades of what they did to Scott McLuhan. And as someone as someone who has struggled with alcoholism myself, with someone who has a lot of friends, and it is a personal thing to me, to throw that man on the bus the way they did, to try to get ahead of it or to try to skirt the narrative, do this, that, and the other. It's like, y'all don't have the decency to do anything right by anyone else. Yeah. It's just slinging mud nonstop. And the thing that, it's a breaking point. When you got Jason Wright immediately distancing the organization from the state, that's Snyder and his people, not us. That's Snyder, that's not us. Jason Wright doesn't do that. When you got Benjamin St. Just going on that, or even though it's French media, and speaking about it, or at least French-speaking media, and speaking about it, we never got that before. Like, we're past, we've gone beyond. It's literally right now, and this is why I go back to, I really did believe the statement that he was looking through his options, right? I still think he's trying to fight things. It's just every day that goes by, the options are getting slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. Because if you're trying to sell a team for a few billion, what do you not do? You don't release a statement like that.
Yeah. I mean, doors are closing for him. And doors are closing very, very fast for him as he continues to shoot himself in the foot. I can't imagine other NFL owners are particularly excited about being sued. I can't imagine they're particularly excited about this continuing to occur with this franchise. So the reason I wanted to bring it up, KDot, is because I think Monday night, more than anything, no matter how it goes, is going to be a relief for the players to finally play a football game amidst this absolutely insane environment where they can just go, finally, we can do what we're here to do, which is play a game. This has the potential to be a rallying point for the players to just be like, hey, it's us. It's just us. Let's focus on ourselves. And this us against the world mentality, I don't know. I think I'm not trying to spin this as a good thing, just to be clear. But like, just to say that you're an athlete. You work really hard on your craft. You work really hard to be the best version of yourself and to be able to make plays on Sunday, in this case, Monday.
No, it's taking something shitty that the players didn't do themselves to try to understand or make this a rallying thing for them to fight for something, to fight for it. And I think that's I don't fault you at all for wanting that to be true. I don't see it, because I mean, I even look at Ron Rivera just buried his mom, and he has to come back and deal with this shit.
Yeah.
Like it's when you hear about why Washington is not a free agent destination, it's not because the wins and losses necessarily. It's about people talk about the toxicity that this team breeds, and you have to answer questions to shit that you don't want to, because it's so not about what's happening on the field, right? I'd like to think that maybe there have been meetings between Ron, maybe even Jason Wright, some of the guys, and saying, hey, fuck the guy up top. We all are on the same, fuck the guy up top. We're doing this for each other. I'd love for that to be the case. I don't know if that's happened. I've got reason to believe they'd still probably be afraid to do that. But yeah, maybe you're right. Cause like we said, this is the first time ever that you've had guys actually being vocal about the shit that's happening in a real way. So maybe it has, maybe it absolutely has.
Also, what I just wanted to quickly mention is that this is, I mean, I guarantee you everyone in the locker room looks at Brian Robinson Jr. and is like, hey man, we got your back. That was bullshit. That was Bush League from our own organization. We got you. And this also, again, we talk about the rankings. This sets up pretty well for Brian Robinson to have himself a day. Wouldn't be surprised if there is an emotional sort of push for him and push for that offensive line to be able to play just a little bit better, just that little extra ounce of energy they didn't know they had. There's the human element of this. And so just wanted to mention that as well.
I'm hopeful because Brian, step the fuck up, bro. You're averaging 3 yards a carry. You need to get angry. You need to get something.
Yeah.
Like you did not need to be dragged in that at all. But there's you need to find something to fuel that and get this shit right because this is a game that we got to rely on you.
Absolutely. And we just need to get him past the first fucking level. So that, and I'm going to put that partly on the offensive line because I have all the faith in the world in that man's talent. So anyway, let's jump over to the predictions. So once again, we had mentioned that the Commanders are 10.5-point dogs on the road this Monday night. The over-under is 43.5. KDot, I need from you, as always, I need a score, I need a winner, and I need a player of the game. The floor is yours.
24-20. Philadelphia pulls it out. I think player of the game is Jalen Hurts. To me, this becomes the conversation I'm already prepared to have is the conversation we've been having on the pod, which is who's the starting quarterback next week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what you're going to end up seeing is exactly what it is we've talked about, which is that Taylor's going to turn the ball over. But I do think you'll have late game heroics that just fall short. And that's how this thing ends. It's with enough promise of this is why we love this guy. But the reality of as much as we do, it doesn't get the job done.
Okay. No, I listen, I can totally see that. It's also a divisional game. So whenever you see a line this large, I tend to think a cover occurs. Simply because divisional game, you almost throw out some of the rankings sometimes. As of now, I'm still thinking about it, but as of now, I also have the Eagles winning by a score of 27-23. So I do think it actually goes over. I think Heinicke does have himself a pretty nice game. I could see him shining in this situation just because, again, it's a house money situation. I've seen him in house money situations. I believe in him in those situations. He plays every game like it's his last. Sometimes he shouldn't, but he does. It's who he is. I could see this getting exciting, but I do think the Eagles at home, that much rest. I think they're able to win. My player of the game is also Jalen Hurts. But if I were to pick someone that's not the quarterback, I'd say this time it's probably AJ Brown. So last time it was Devontae Smith. I think this time AJ Brown's the one that gets going. That crowd fucking loves him. So
he was just getting his bearings the first time we played him. Now
I know. My God. I mean, he's a very, very real talent. Shout out to all the wide receivers who made big money moves to other teams. That seems to be working really, really well, whether it be from a stats perspective, like Devontae Adams, who like gets his, but yeah, the Raiders kind of suck, to like Tyreek Hill completely transforming the Miami Dolphins. AJ Brown seemingly putting the Eagles over the top for the time being. Like it seems to be these wide receivers. Good for them. Good for them.
Beckham's going to make his decision.
Yeah, and it's a big one if he's fully healthy. But
Odell, if you're listening to this, this needs to be your blueprint every year. Don't go to training camp.
He's figured it out. He's figured it out.
Do this once a year. You save yourself up until about week 10 and then look through the Rolodex and see who's a contender and then fucking contribute. You would have been Super Bowl MVP if you stayed healthy.
He was on track for 200 plus yards. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like Gronk was also doing that. He would sort of just check the record and be like, yeah, okay, I'll come back this year. It sort of had that feel. But let's get over to the comment mailbag, where we have, I believe, 6 comments right now. We appreciate all of you for commenting as always. And so we're going to begin with Tony. Tony. Shout out, Tony. With 2 comments. The first one reading, I don't care what I'm doing. If I see District Divided dropped a video, F everything else, I'm tuning in to watch Amit and KDot. That's my favorite comment of all time. Really appreciate you, Tony, for that.
Love it.
Love you, buddy. And then we've got the second comment, which is, would it be the Commanders took a dunkel Sunday or the Commanders made a dunkel Sunday? I agree with Amit 100%. We've seen enough of Wentz to know he mentally ain't the guy. Appreciate the comment there, Tony. I appreciate the backing. That is very important to me that Tony's on my side of this. But back to the Dunkel thing. I'm going to read that one more time, KDot. I'm going to need you to answer this. Would it be the
answer? You're the expert.
Would it be? Well, I had a different understanding of what Dunkel was until you guys transformed it into whatever the heck it is now.
Only one meaning.
Would it be the Commanders took a Dunkel Sunday or the Commanders made a Dunkel Sunday? It seems more like a took than make. Were you going to go the other way? Yeah.
What did I say? What dunkling is analingus that involves dunkaroos. So yeah, be more verbish, like verb.
This thing has taken on a life of its own, by the way. I mean, Dunkel is like, it's gonna stick. It's gonna stick around.
It's going to be a complete snane.
Oh God. Okay. Well, okay. So we're alluding to other comments that are fast approaching. But
hold on, that keeps dropping the comment. I just remember snane.
There is a snane. There is a snane that gets mentioned later. But appreciate the comments, Tony. And then we go over to Base Jiren. I believe back-to-back episodes, maybe 3 in a row. Commenting. Appreciate you, Base Jiren. His comment reads, y'all are definitely the upper echelon of Commanders channels. Thanks for having an actual productive discussion instead of just being salty like some Commanders channels. Cough, Washington Commanders declassified. Oh, that's the cough. Oof. Keep up the good work, and I hope Snyder actually does sell the team for your guys' sanity. We really appreciate the comment, Base Jiren. I particularly am honored to be in the upper echelon of Commanders channels there, so really appreciate that. And yeah, we hope Snyder sells the team for your sanity as well. I assume your sanity is also entirely dependent on Dan Snyder selling this thing. Any thoughts there, KDot?
Yeah, I'm glad to be mentioned. I can't say that I'm too familiar with the podcast she named. I don't really listen to a lot of other Commander podcasts.
We're focused inwards here. We're focused
inwards. Internal. I mean, I do watch Ref the Disher from time to time since we did that collab with them. So like,
great guys.
I will always represent those guys. Those guys are great. And then a pod with a guy who would not ever refer to himself as a Commander, but he's related to the team. I watch John Riggins' show, but he doesn't really give a shit.
That's what we love about him.
And that's why, still favorite player of all time.
Shout out Base Jared, appreciate the comment there. And then we go over to Blood Clot, who is always out here commenting. Appreciate you, Blood Clot. KDot's version of Dunkel, we're right back on it. KDot's version of Dunkel reminded me of those Asian treats with the breadsticks you dip into the cup of chocolate. I think it's called Yan Yan.
I think more what I'm talking about is 2 girls, 1 cup. Was that Japanese? Or was that
God, I forgot about that. That is it. I remember when someone was like, "Have you seen this video?" I was like, "No."
2 girls, 1 cup. Dunkel.
Do you want to? I said no, and then they showed it anyway, and it was
To me, what was always great about was the music.
I'm not going to be the asshole that says watch that video. I would say don't watch it. There is no need.
I was showing it to everyone.
Of course you were. Anyway, okay. Shout out Blood Clot for the comment. Appreciate that. We then move over to Pally for Life. Shout out Pally for Life. Appreciate it. Watching Amit and KDot argue was as painful as watching one's parents argue. You understand both sides and just wish they would reconcile so you don't need to attend family court. That being said, in this divorce, custody should be granted to Amit. I've seen enough Wentz. There is certainly some pathos filtering into my perspective, but the heart wants what the heart wants, and the heart wants Taylor Heinicke and his, quote, miles and miles of heart, end quote. On an unrelated note, do you think Philly will make the Commanders snane their dunkles? Monsieur X. Appreciate the comment, and there is the snane mention.
I want to address the first part first, though.
Go ahead.
So what Pally for Life just admitted to is that what he's doing, if we're the divorcing couple,
Yeah.
he's deciding to go with all right, you're gonna be mom in this now. He's gonna
Sure.
go with mom that lets him eat candy every day and he does nothing wrong, and he's just gonna coddle and you get gifts and everything. Well, I'm dad saying, do your fucking homework. This is what it is. I got love for you, but you're not taking advantage of me. This is what it is. He's going with the easy answer. Y'all want to love the Taylor Heinicke answer. It is what it is. And what I'll tell you right now is that when Carson comes back, because he will come back, and he plays lights out, like a lot of times on this
and
podcast,
he plays lights out, we're not doing this again. We're not doing this again.
As happens a lot on this podcast. Not necessarily because we don't usually disagree this hardcore. But I will say, I'm usually right about things.
Oh, okay. You know what? We could get into this. We're not going to. We're in good places right now. I'm in New Orleans. You're in South Carolina. We're having ourselves a good time.
If we're the married couple, it'd be, honey, you should listen to me a bit more.
Yeah, not now, sweetie. Not now, sweetie. Why don't we table this for a bit?
I
don't feel hurt. We have one more. Hold on one second. Get out 1 sec.
Yeah.
Be right back. We're just gonna grab an apple. 1 sec.
Yeah.
And we got one last comment. I'm gonna read 1 sec.
I think he needs to go snake his uncle. God damn.
KDot.
It's public enemy number one of the Dish Divided family.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Oh God, are you live reading a comment? Is that what's happening? Are you reading your own comment?
This comment comes from
let's say good.
Ridge, wear your helmet at. I'd also like to shout out A1 Appliance Bedding and Furniture. This comment is brought to you by A1 Appliance Bedding and Furniture. Shout out to our girl Lexi over there. Kadeem, the type of scout that would draft Jamarcus Russell #1 because he's so wowed by his arm strength and physical ceiling. Kadeem, would you care to comment on the fact that you would draft Jamarcus Russell #1 because you would be so smitten by his physical abilities and look past the rest of the qualities that make a capable quarterback?
All right. I'm not going that far. Okay. So there's there's personality to me and there are intangibles to me that work out in someone's favor compared to not working out in their favor, right? I think the thing with Carson Wentz that is the biggest issue to have is, unlike Jamarcus Russell, who thought he had it, right? He thought he had it figured out. There was a level of, ego and pride there that made him not work at his craft at all. And it was very evident since the days back in college. He was just not going to do it, right? Carson's not that guy. The only thing with Carson is that he's a socially awkward ginger that no one can believe in. And it's a tragic thing. No one looks at Jamarcus Russell and says that's a tragedy. That goes, you lazy fuck. Why don't you watch Why don't you watch game film? Carson he's just not got that swag that Taylor does. Like, that's the big difference. He's swagless. Like, even Kirk Cousins has more swag than, like, you'd never see Carson Wentz with the chains on the plane like you saw Kirk Cousins flying away from it. It just wouldn't happen. But I'm telling you, there are some guys that fit into this category, which they don't necessarily. There are guys historically in the league that are along the lines of Carson that can get the job done. It's just a matter of, can they take you to the promised land? Probably not. But to me, it's, if you've already invested as much money in the salary, you have to make sure no stone is left unturned. I think people are thinking that I think Carson Wentz is like a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I don't. To me, it's the Taylor Heinicke. I've seen everything I need to see. He had a full season with us, more than a full season with us last year. Looking into this year, I see the improvements in certain aspects. I love him to death. I want him to be the backup on this team forever. Paying whatever he needs to be the backup on this team forever. But I think with Carson right now, we did not give him the full complement on offense that exists right now. And that's the only thing I need to see. And if in 2 weeks it's the same thing, if it's the same thing that I saw in the weeks previously, then yeah, I'm right there with you. Sam Howell time. Because at that point we're mathematically eliminated. It's time
All
for
I'm
Sam
hearing
Howell.
is that you would trade Swag for 5 extra yards on a throw.
I'm saying that
You want a socially awkward ginger leading our team.
I'm saying swag isn't everything. I'm saying that if I actually think the most swagged out quarterback in the NFL right now to me is Joe Burrow. But you would also know Joe Burrow's a lot more talented than Taylor Heinicke ever dreamed of being. And that to me is like, that's the chasm, is that like, I just wish Taylor, there's as much as I can hope and pray for, his arm strength's not going to get more. It's not going to get better.
He makes plays.
He gets out of
the. He evades sacks. He gets the ball to Terry. Does Carson do that?
What? Get the ball to Terry?
Carson doesn't get the ball to Terry.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Carson doesn't get out of the pocket.
Carson absolutely was overthinking everything early on in the season. Absolutely. But then we also
do you think once he comes back, that's going to change?
But here's another thing is that I don't know if things have necessarily changed over the season with Scott Turner. I don't know yet. Because the thing with Scott Turner is it does seem like he, at least like even in the Indianapolis game, he was getting a little looser when it came to the offensive plays. Like it seemed like he was tailoring it more to Taylor Heinicke. The thing what Carson succeeded with in Indianapolis, which is one of another reason that they've regressed this year, was that Carson was given a lot of responsibility on the offensive line as far as what it is they were doing, checking in and out of runs, right? And apparently that has completely gone away in Washington. But there's also a matter of we didn't have a rushing attack when he was here. They were asking him to drop back 40-something times a game. And when you drop back 40-something times a game, getting pressured, it changes the dynamic of the way you're going to play on offense. And look, there have been games, at least the last 2 weeks with Taylor, that he's starting to look like Carson was, where he's not taking the checkdowns that he needs to, right? He was forcing the ball down. Taylor's forcing the ball down the field, where he's not taking the checkdowns and everything. And my thing is like, if you're going to do the same things that Carson was fucking doing, you're supposed to be the anti-Carson. Like if you're not doing the checkdowns, you're not doing what you're supposed to do as far as taking care of the football. What's the point now? Like, I've already seen everything on DC. Maybe he's more fun to watch on TV than Carson Wentz, but I still go back to a stone left unturned for me is seeing Carson with the team. I'm not guaranteed that success, but I need to see it.
We've seen enough. Okay, so tell me, what would Taylor Heinicke have to do on Monday?
Here's my only question. Here's my only question to you. Would you say the last time that Carson Wentz started, right?
What was that? The Bears game?
The Bears game. Would you say that the offense looks different as far as the complement around him, looks different now than it did then?
It does, because of who's playing at quarterback.
You think that's it?
Yes. The
so
team loves Taylor Heinicke.
The running game is because they love Taylor Heinicke?
The offensive line is playing better.
It couldn't be because Brian Robinson got shot?
No, I mean, the offensive line loves Heinicke. The receivers are blocking better. The team just responds to Heinicke's.
A guy that they know compared to a guy that they don't know. Absolutely. But the guy that they don't know hasn't had enough time with them.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I haven't watched too many of the last few games. I've been in Columbia, but
Taylor has been making a lot of, look, I'm telling you, man, that's the one thing that we always had with Taylor throughout the season so far is that the long ball wasn't there, right? He took the checkdowns and he did an amazing job of taking the checkdowns. The last 2 games, he's done a really shitty job as far as taking the open opportunity. He's been doing a really bad job of that. And if that's going to be what he's doing, then he's doing the same thing.
Tell me what he has to do on Monday to win you over so that once Wentz is available again.
The only thing Taylor can do to me to win me over to know that he's going to be the starter necessarily. Hold on. Win me over in what sense? No, win me over in what sense? Win me over what? How?
I mean, you think Carson Wentz should start as soon as he's back. What would Taylor Heinicke have to do on Monday to make you believe otherwise?
Play lights out and be the leader of a victory against Philadelphia.
He's been doing that. He's been playing lights out. He's been our leader.
If he leads us, if it's him, not the rushing attack, if it's him that leads us to a victory against Philadelphia, convincing victory against Philadelphia, yeah, give him some more weeks. Because guess what? That to me will be the most impressive thing that's happened this season.
And he's going to do that.
Let's rock and roll. I'm hoping
Commanders
you're right.
26, Eagles 23, lock of the week. The other lock of the month is me running you over in our Thanksgiving football game.
I don't really play that much anymore. Just gotta let you know.
I'm a pancake you, dog.
You're not capable of that.
I'm gonna pancake you, KDot.
You're not capable of that, man.
I
like
the other lock of the Thanksgiving
Taylor
football
Heinicke
game
swag has kind of gotten to you, and I appreciate it. Your social media influencing traveler, you
3 interceptions thrown by Pally for life. I'm gonna hand the mic back to Amit,
and that's why he's a villain. He's a terrible person.
That apple was magnificent.
I'm allergic to apples.
You're allergic to apples.
They make my gums itch.
I just want to echo that this comment that he just read, and the episode is brought to you by the good people at A1 Appliance Bedding and Furniture. Shout out to Alexis. They're excellent people here in New Orleans. They work really, really hard. And I know they're watching, and we appreciate you guys for everything you did.
You're not splitting the sponsorship money with me, homie? I ain't get a cut. We need to split it. It's your show, but I ain't get like 10%. What's happening?
No, but we'll have discussions about it, and that'll be after the pod. And so that'll be more.
I don't love A1's business practices.
What don't you
I've heard they've said a lot of anti-Semitic stuff, and they support Kanye and Kyrie. I'm just saying.
You know what? This has a lot of after the pod energy. So this was District Divided at DC Sports Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm Amit. That is KDot. That is Ridge. Wear your helmet at on the guest mic. We really, really appreciate the contribution there. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please like it, please subscribe, please comment, please share, all that jazz. I think I need to start doing that at the beginning of videos instead of just the very end when it's like, oh, assuming you're an hour
made it through all the way through and you've shown clearly that you love us, please.
Yeah, because you know what we want the real ones. We don't want those shallow fucking fans. We want the real ones, and we got the real ones. That's why this feels
real. We do. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we got the real ones, and they're in the comment section constantly, and we appreciate you guys so much. So we may live stream Monday night. We are in talks. We're trying to figure out the technology as well. But we may end up live streaming the game Monday. We will let you guys know. But until then, take it easy. Okay, so you don't like the business practices of A1 Appliance Bedding and Furniture?
Yeah, apparently they said the best movie ever created was this movie called Hebrews to Negroes.
Oh, you found their Twitter.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Really, really rough. Like, there's one thing to say, like, what did I hear? I said that they said that the best shoe ever made are the Kyrie 9s. And that's not okay.
What was the name of the shoe? One more time.
The Kyrie 9.
Not ready for that. Oh my God. Is that an original or has that just been circulating?
What, the joke?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said it on ASOS, but it got buried. It's an original. It's mine. But it got buried in the ASOS episode, so I'm like, I need to bring it back. But I said I treated it like a New Balance. I call them 999.
Oh my God. Oh.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 2 minutes in the ASOS. So I was like, no one's gonna see this.
Oh man. Well, the diehards here definitely saw it. Definitely heard it, and that's hysterical. Listen, have you been to New Orleans before, KDot?
I'm afraid of New Orleans.
You're afraid of it?
Terrified of New Orleans. I can tell you why.
Yeah, please do.
If I go, I ain't coming back. I'm never leaving. So like, it's one of those places that where I'm at right now. I'm in Beaufort County, South Carolina. I'm about 25 minutes away from Hilton Head and less than 20 minutes away from Savannah, Georgia. Savannah, Georgia is one of my favorite cities in America. And you know its nickname? The Little Easy, because it's New Orleans, but clean. So I love Savannah. You can drink outside as you're walking down. Like, I love to get my spiked iced tea or lemonade or like whiskey with my...
Yeah, please.
Just your tits. So that's always been something like I just, everyone that I know personally that goes down to New Orleans is like, yeah, I ain't leaving. And I think that I'd have that exact same energy, and I'm not ready for it. So my thought process was always that I'm going to go to Mardi Gras once, which I think Mardi Gras will be so much that I won't want to stay. So
Fair
it'll
enough.
pollute it, right? So I'll get like so New Orleans out that I'll be like, yeah, I got to go home.
This place is amazing, man. I mean, got in Wednesday around noon, a few hours before Ridge Wear Your Helmet at. And so I was like, all right, well, it's my first time over here. I need to explore a little bit. And so walked around. Cafe Du Monde is the place that like you go. It's like one of the just boxes you check. It was good. It was fine. Had a beignet. There's tons of just powdered sugar on it. And which was, hey, it was enjoyable. And then walked over to Jackson Square. Apparently that's where the Louisiana Purchase happened. That seems like something that on the info panel you should put in all caps and bold. Like this is pretty big right here. It was just written very casually in the regular font. I was like, wait, what? I had to read it like 3 times to be like, this is so casually the place where it occurred. Then realized there's no open container law, and so decided to go ahead and enjoy myself a carriage mule. So that's some rye. That's some rye whiskey over there. Some ginger beer. That's some lemon soda. It was lovely. It was lovely. And it has been a fantastic experience so far here in New Orleans. I think we should make a trip together somewhere. I think we'd have a lot of fun.
I do too. I think that'd be a hell of a trip.
Yeah. Now, where would we go? That's the question.
I feel like what we should do is let's plot a Washington away game next season.
That would actually be a lot of fun.
So we figure out what town, because there was a comment that we had about what town we would most want to go to, right?
That was last week. Yeah.
Last week. So let's figure that out. Let's do an away trip to one of these to a game. We'll take a look at the schedule and everything and try to figure out a place to go and just have like a Commanders away thing.
I think that would be an absolutely fantastic idea. And now that we have the travel budget to do it, you know, we could easily
A1 in their anti-Semitic.
Yeah, we really appreciate the good people at A1 Appliance, Bedding, and Furniture over there. Simple as that. Just because they tweeted out to Kyrie, I can't even do it. I would just start laughing each time I think about it.
You're not gonna say the name of the shoe?
I think on that note, we gotta go.
We gotta see Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Someone too.
Oh, let me know that. See you guys Monday for the live stream.
Bye, guys.
We're doing it.
If we do it.
So we are.